Madam Chair, we see that in our world today, we see that there are sicknesses, there are problems, and we say that these at the end of the day can only be solved by funding by these private companies at the end of the day, because we see that these are the only ones that could actually be sustainable enough for scientific research at the end of the day. And we say that the biggest problem that we see from their side is that they have development at the end of the day, and we see that the government can provide for the cost of all these scientific research at the end of the day that are currently developing. And we say that development is actually very essential for the industry nowadays. So the stance of opposition is clear. While the government wants to prohibit these companies because they are worried of price and they're actually worried of the welfare of people, when we question will there even be development of new drugs if they actually propose what they are saying, we say that in the opposition we believe that it's actually necessary for the development of drugs at the end of the day and for more research to come, Madam Chair. So before I go on, I'd like to take on some of the previous speakers' arguments. No, thank you. First, he talked about how it will actually control the factor so that more people will reach it at the end of the day. He talked about patenting and how it has an effect on price. First of all, we say these companies still release these medicines at the end of the day to the people. We say that grounding to these companies, we say that these companies won't actually price these drugs extremely high at the end of the day, because we say that at the nature of these companies, they actually believe in less profit but higher margins at the end of the day, and we say that is actually unreasonable for them to think this. Second, we think that the government controls the price of these drugs anyways through subsidizing them, and we say through subsidizing them at the end of the day when these drugs are really needed. And no, thank you, Bas. And we say that this actually takes away their point. Second, they talked about how the role of the state and how it is actually and how its role on basic services and needs to its citizens. First of all, he tries to contextualize an apocalyptic situation wherein citizens can't actually buy drugs anymore. No one can actually buy drugs for new drugs or what have you. First of all, we say that, like I said a while ago, it's actually not in the nature of these companies to even price these drugs that high. We say, no thank you, Bas. We say that along with the government subsidization, we say that these drugs will actually be affordable to its people because of the companies at the end of the day. We say, second response to this, we question, and no thank you. Will there even be development of new drugs at the end of the day that will solve these sicknesses at the end of the day of what they're proposing? In my arguments, I'll be discussing about how it will actually de-incentivize these companies at the end of the day to create new drugs, and we say that's very detrimental. So before I go on this,
if there's a high demand for a cure for sickness like, let's say, AIDS, and the companies know that people really need it and they're going to buy it no matter what the price is, what disincentive do they have from making that cure expensive, supposedly by the
well, Bas, first of all, we say that the companies won't actually price these drugs to a price wherein it actually cost millions at the end of the day. We say that the people will still be able to afford it, and we say it's not. The government is always there. The U.S. government in particular is there to subsidize it if it's really needed by its citizens at the end of the day, and it's necessary for them. So now moving on to my constructives. First, I'll talk about how it's about the necessity of funding from pharmaceutical companies. First, I'd like to contextualize how much the scientific research costs at the end of the day. We say that scientific research costs a lot. We say that many of the breakthrough medicine projects were actually funded by private companies at the end of the day. For example, recent projects such as the Human Genome Project, we say even the discovery of synthetic life, we say that these were actually funded by companies such as Pfizer, and we say that they actually had no connection to the state after all. We say that these private companies, they actually cost millions and millions of dollars to fund these kinds of research, and the government doesn't have the capability to keep on funding these scientific research. And we say that is why we say that there's actually That's why we say that it's actually detrimental to the sustainability of the funds. Well, thank you, Basta. And second, I'd like to talk about how it actually breaks the cycle of research at the end of the day. We say that let's contextualize. The government is actually a non-profit oriented body. We say that unlike these private pharmaceutical companies, many of them stand to make profit at the end of the day. We say that when they actually give out capital so that they can develop new drugs, they use these drugs to actually earn more capital. We say that part of this capital is used for to create new research to actually fund the discovery of new drugs at the end of the day. We say that if you lend it to the hands of a non-profit oriented body such as the state at the end of the day, we say that we are actually stopping this cycle because there's nothing that will actually keep on fueling the government to keep on trying to discover new drugs at the end of the day. Unlike these profit-oriented companies. Second, lastly, I'd like to talk about how it maintains competition that is actually necessary for the development of drugs at the end of the day. First of all, I'd like to say, these companies want new drugs for business. These companies always feel the need to develop new drugs, which is why they fund these private research companies at the end of the day. We say that if the government takes the place of, if the government will keep on funding these private research companies, we say that this will actually take away the competition between these pharmaceutical companies because they won't actually have the chance to keep on improving their products at the end of the day. For example, Biogesic and Biofuel, we say that without the competitiveness, we say that there will actually be no incentive to keep on improving their products at the end of the day. And we say that this will actually be detrimental for the people at the end of the day. So, Madam Chair and panel, we say that if you stand for the welfare of these people, and if you stand for development of new drugs, we say that you go for opposition. Thank you.